One common retouching technique in Photoshop is changing eye color. So go ahead and open up prog.jpg and press Ctrl-J on the PC or Command-J on the Mac. That'll duplicate the layer. Just best practices to work on a duplicated layer, even though we're going to add an adjustment layer to this. First thing we need to do is isolate these pixels that contain the eyes. So we could use the lasso tool if you just click and drag if you have a tablet or even a mouse. But another way is just to click and hold on to the rectangular marquee tool and click on the elliptical marquee tool. I can hold Alt if you want to start from the middle instead of going from the side like that. Hold Alt, click and drag from the center there. I need to also select this one since we'll do them at the same time. Hold down Shift and we'll add to the selection. And if you mess up, if you're kind of off, just hold spacebar and then let go of spacebar, and it will let us move it before finalizing that selection. Of course, you can still move it if you hover over it like that, like so, but then it'll move them as a group. So that's why it's good to hold spacebar like that before we insert it in there. Now, we want to subtract from the selection though, because we don't want the top eyelid selected like that. So I'm going to use the lasso tool, and then I'm going to hold down Alt. All right, see how that little minus sign is added to the cursor when I do that? If I click and drag, it's just going to subtract from that selection wherever I click and drag. So something like that. I think that's pretty good. I need to add to it now, so hold down Shift. Something like that. All right. So once you have a selection, we do need to add a little bit of feather, so it's not just, the edge is not just really distinct and looks kind of fake. So go to Select. You can go Refine Edge and Feather if you want, but you can also just go to Select, Modify, Feather. For this one, if you're following along with this support file, just do 2 pixels. Should be fine for this resolution. And then we're going to add an adjustment layer. Now, when we add this new adjustment layer, it automatically comes with a mask. So it's going to mask out everything except the area that's selected, just like we were adding a regular layer mask. So click on the Add New Adjustment Layer icon, and we're going to go to Hue Saturation. And you'll notice it added the Hue Saturation Adjustment Layer as well as the mask. If you Alt-click it, it'll show you that everything's masked out except the eyes area that we had selected. Alright, so any changes we do, it's only going to apply to that previously selected area. So, up here on the Hue Saturation Adjustment Layer, you can drag hue left and right, and what it's doing is interacting with the original color of her eyes. So if you're on red, it's actually kind of this greenish yellowish hue. So if you want to have a little bit more control as far as knowing specifically what color it's going to be, you can just click colorize, make sure that's checked. And now it's going to specifically, let us see what color it's going to be. So you can make it more hazel or kind of a brownish hue. You can make it blue, whatever. And then you can adjust the saturation. If you go too far to the right, it's not going to look realistic. Too far to the left, it's grayscale, so somewhere in there. And we can also adjust the lightness too. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. The problem is that we've gotten part of the eyelid there. If you zoom in, press Control plus or Command plus on the Mac, Control plus on the PC, you'll see right there. No, how can we fix that? Well, make sure the mask is selected here, and we'll choose a brush, and let's set foreground color to black, and we just want to brush off the edge there a little bit. Just fix that. All right. All right, so there's the before, and then there's the after. Now, you can also do the same effect with the color balance tool. So I'll show you that. I'm going to delete this layer blending mode. I could select again. I'm going to show you a different way though. So this time I'm going to add the adjustment layer first. So color balance, and I'm gonna, if you just watch the eyes, ignore the rest of the area, we're gonna fix that. But so let's say I want to make them kind of greenish, maybe a little bit of yellow. Maybe bump the green way up. All right, so we have that set. Problem is it affected everything else, right? Well, this black mask that comes with the adjustment layer, we're going to fill it with black. So with the black as the foreground color, press Alt Backspace on the PC or Option Delete on the Mac. Now I got rid of our effect, right? We don't want that. So what we want is, I'm going to zoom in, and we want to paint white in there. So I'm going to flip that so the foreground color is white, and just make it a little bit smaller here, and then just paint it in with a soft edge brush, kind of like if we had a feather. We didn't do any selection this time. I'm just showing you a different way to add it in. And that's a little bit strong. Okay, so what we can do, a further step, is adjust this opacity here of this layer adjustment mode. Right, whenever we do a layer adjustment, we can adjust the opacity so the effect isn't as strong. So I think that's actually a little bit better. So there's the before, and there's after. So that's two ways to change eye color.